Hello.
Hello.
Yep, great. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Could you pin Venerable Gyelse, please? Валера, закрепи досточтимого Gyelse, пожалуйста.
Maybe not.
Not, I don't know. Okay, this way.
There we go. Thank you.
Yep. So, for everyone who don't know, there is a globe icon in the bottom of your screen if you are watching via computer. And if you tap there, you can change language and choose translation. Для тех, кому нужен перевод, вы можете выбрать иконку глобуса внизу экрана, если вы смотрите с компьютера, или 3 точки, если с телефона. И там будет перевод для украинского языка. Выбирайте, пожалуйста, французский. Не хухры-мухры. Все остальные языки соответствуют. У нас есть we have Spanish and Russian and Ukrainian translation. Thank you, translators, very much. So we have 3 language translations, except English. So plus English, that's great. Если вы не нашли, где выбрать перевод, пишите в чате, вам помогут, пожалуйста. Translate.
Going out into the universe.
So YouTube. Seems like it should work.
The universe.
Oops. Okay. Here we go. I'm very happy to introduce to you Venerable Gyelse, my heart teacher, who has agreed to share her wisdom with us today. And with this, we are kind of continuing the course of lectures, of meetings, open talks with ordained people. We started with Venerable Carding last month, December, I guess. And now, thank you, Venerable Gyelse, for our meeting today. That's great to have you here. And this meeting is under umbrella of Health Studio, Мастерская здоровья. So everything we're going to talk is kind of around health. And
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. Venerable Gyelse is studying Buddhism kind of more than 30 years, I guess. No?
Well, yes, but not with Geshe Michael for 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And how many years are you with Geshe Michael Gyelse?
I met Geshe Michael in 1996. So that's what, 28 years?
Ooh.
Is that right?
Around.
Yes.
Around 30 years. Ooh. That's great. And so you first started somewhere else. You were looking for a way, for path. Seems like that. How did
Yeah. I mean, I was in my 20s. And I don't know, I was always fascinated by Tibet, right? And I was always fascinated by Buddhism and interested in it. I first really got interested in it when I was about 16. But when I was in my mid-20s, I traveled to India and northern India and went and stayed in the community in exile there, the people who had moved to India. And I stayed there for a little while and went traveling. And then I came back and camped out in a tent at another little Tibetan Buddhist community for about a month or so. And so it interested me at that time. And even at that time, I thought, oh, I should get ordained, but I had a commitment to a man. And so I kept that was my primary commitment. And so I kept that and ended up getting married and having a family. But there were problems in the family, in the relationship. And I tried this and I tried that and I tried this and I tried that, and things just weren't changing. And so I turned to the Buddhist teachings and started, reading. And even when I was 16, I had read some Buddhist teachings, some Zen Buddhist teachings. But I was really tired of the up and down. Things would get better and then they get worse, and things would get better and then they get worse. And I was very tired of that. I was like, there's got to be an answer for why life is like this. What am I doing? What can I change? And when I met Buddhism, it seemed to hold the answers for me. I had looked in other places. I was brought up Jewish, but very progressive Jewish. And really the answers weren't there for me. And I never pursued Christianity. I was never drawn that way. I was much more drawn to the Eastern religions to try and find answers to these like big questions. Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Why is my life so much like a roller coaster? And so I came to the teachings of Buddhism and I studied within the Lama Zopas and Lama Yeshe's group, the FPMT, for about 10 years. I was blessed to have a small community of students of Lama Yeshe's, and we would get together on a weekly basis and study together and invite teachers to come and teach. And then a dear friend of this group had met Geshe Michael, and she said, hey, you guys need to come meet this person. And that's how I met him. So that's a little bit of my journey.
Oh, great. Okay, and what did change for you? Why did you decide to become a nun, to be ordained? So it was kind of something strong inside of you that you decided to commit yourself to this path.
I would just say it was what we call Bak Chak Sepa. It was old seeds ripening, because when I was 25, 26, I thought, oh, I want to become a Buddhist nun. I want to commit myself to this path. But it took many years. It took many years until I became a nun because I had a family, and my commitment was to my family. When my husband and I separated and we divorced, it was like, okay, now's the time. At that point, I wanted to get ordained for many of the same reasons, but more to the specific point was that I saw that I needed to totally focus on my own spiritual development to be able to have the relationships to people and to the world that I wanted to have. And I didn't want to keep doing things the same way because it wasn't working. It didn't work. And so it was like, I think coming out of 20 years of marriage and being unhappy and not knowing how to plant seeds, that's not really what I was able to learn in that time. And it wasn't until I met Geshe Michael that I began to really understand how I was creating my own world and planting seeds. And I didn't want to be distracted by anything else. It's like, this is what I want to do with my life.
That's interesting. And how it changed your life? Did it change your life? How it influenced your life? What it brought to you? What did it bring to you?
It has brought me, I won't say it has brought me, I will say that I planted the seeds, right, to create a much calmer, happier, abundant, purposeful life. Yeah. It's given me a very clear path. I think that's, one of the things I know about myself. Like right now, I just started a diet because I am overweight. And I started a diet like 3 weeks ago. But it's very structured. It's like, do this step and then do this step and keep within these lines. And for me, it's like having vows. It's like, you want to become a better person, you want to have a better world, do this and do this and do this. And the whole Buddhist path is like that. It's very clearly explained for centuries. So it's like, I can just follow that. Not blindly, but I can just follow it and trust it. And I trust it because I've tried it and it works. And so it's the same thing with this diet. I need to get my health better. And one of the things that I really like about it is that you're interacting with other people. So you've got your karmic partners right there. You're meeting on Facebook and you're supporting each other. And so you're not isolated. And so I know I'm planting my seeds for myself and for others to be able to do what they want to do in this program. So for me, it's parallel with my Buddhist practice. It's like, I have a whole place to plant seeds in others. So I'm going to be successful. They're going to be successful. We talk on the phone with each other. We have buddies. And it's very sweet, So it's having those guidelines to say, well, if you step over here, you're going to lose it. If you step over here, you're going to lose it. How about just following the plan and see what happens? And that's what having taken the vows has done for me. And as I said, I know that I need that because I have a wild monkey mind.
Wild monkey mind, you're practicing for 28 years. Probably
Oh,
you're kind of
it's just a
like,
drop in the bucket if we think about all the lives we have lived before. 28 years is just a drop in the bucket. You know, I don't have the seeds for things to change overnight. It's hard work. You have to work on yourself.
do you find joy in this hard work? Is it
Oh
pleasurable?
no, I really don't find joy at all. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I mean, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it's very painful to really look deep inside yourself and see your critic and see how you're creating obstacles for yourself and see the seeds that you've planted. Sometimes it's very painful. But what a relief, because once you see it, once you can bring it out in the open and look at it and also understand that that's not me. Those things are not me, they're parts, right? But that's not really who I am ultimately. I am not a mean person ultimately. I did something mean. Why? Because I thought I was doing the best I could. And it's what I did with the wisdom and knowledge that I had at the time, which wasn't so great, right? And it's just like, okay, I don't have to identify with it. I can regret it. And I don't have to obsess on it. I can move on, right? And then there's the next thing. If we've lived for countless lives, there's always a next thing until you become enlightened, you know?
And I know also that you have done 3-year retreat. 3 year, 3 months, and 3 days silent retreat at Diamond Mountain Retreat Center. And you built your own house there. 3 years of silent retreat. That's a lot. Could you share something about it with us, please? Why did you do what you brought out from there, and or
Why did I do it? I love doing retreat. Let's just admit it. I love going into silence. Again, it's not always easy, but what you get out of it is incredibly powerful and life-changing. You know, it may be a big life-changing, it may be a small life-changing. I don't think you can go into retreat, even for a week, without coming out being a different person. Unless you sit there and watch Netflix all week or something. So to begin with, I love retreat. I wanted the challenge of 3-year retreat. I wanted to be quite frank and honest, I wanted to have a really good shot at seeing emptiness directly. And it takes a lot of good seeds to go into 3-year retreat. And you also create a lot of good seeds in 3-year retreat if your motivation is to go in so that you can serve the world in a better way, right? So what better way to serve the world than trying to become an enlightened being who can ultimately save others from their personal suffering, right? So for me, I didn't have to think about it really. Am I going to do this? What I had to think about was, how am I going to present this to my family? That's what I had to think about. When Geshe Michael and the others went into their 3-year retreat in 2000, it was like, oh, yeah, I'd like to do that. So it had been cooking for a long time. And I also think because I had done many retreats, I think I started with a 10-day retreat in the Vipassana system with a group of women. It was a very safe retreat. It was very comfortable. We could come to sessions if we wanted to, or go for a walk or take a bath. It was a very kind and gentle retreat. So that was like my first retreat, and I was hooked after that. So I had done many week-long retreats or 10-day retreats, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months before embarking on a 3-year retreat. So I had a good amount of experience before going into 3-year retreat. And I can say I didn't see emptiness directly. I'm gonna sneeze, hold on. Excuse me. I didn't see emptiness directly. I didn't have all sorts of mystical, otherworldly things happen, but I was happy. And I think that has to do with vows. If you're keeping an ethical way of life, if you're treating others kindly, if you're serving others, then you plant the seeds to be happier. And so I wasn't lonely. I'm very comfortable with myself. I had my dulcimer, which you can see hanging on the wall here with me. And sometimes I would sit in my rocking chair when I wasn't meditating in front of my wood fire and play music and sing songs to all the beings who were around me. So I was never lonely. I always felt like everyone I loved was with me. One of the things I learned in retreat, and it was something I didn't really understand when I went into retreat, was about surrender. When teachers say you have to surrender, or psychologists say you have to surrender, it's like, what does that mean? What does that really mean? Do I let go of this or that? And for me in retreat, what I learned is sometimes I would go to sit on the cushion and my mind would be all over the place. I wasn't able to bring it to focus on what I wanted to focus on. And it's like, okay, I would try and I'd be up against a wall here, but you can't go through a wall like that. I couldn't go over it. I couldn't go around it. And I would sit there being frustrated. And it's like, okay, this is not good seeds. These are not good seeds. Sitting here fighting with my mind. Get up, go and do something different and virtuous. Go and memorize something. Go and, just go and do something different that will help your mind to be more focused so you can sit and meditate and focus your mind the way you want to. So I learned to just surrender to that. And you have to be really careful with yourself because you can fool yourself because maybe you don't feel like sitting on your cushion, right? But you have a schedule. You go and sit on your cushion. Why is that? Because you're retraining your mind. And so when you have certain sessions certain times you're eating, certain times you're walking. It frees up your mind from having to think about all those things, and it becomes habitual. And so when it gets to be time to go and sit on your cushion, your mind is ready. It's like, okay, it's cushion time. You go and sit on your cushion and you do your practice. Your mind has been made flexible and pliable. And also, you have to be flexible and pliable. And when you're coming up against obstacles, try and work with them. And if none of that is working, then I just surrendered. Okay, it's not working. Go do something else for 20 minutes. And it would usually be to memorize a prayer, like I memorized a prayer called Source of All My Good. And I would just walk in the area by my house, back and forth, memorizing this prayer. And then I'd have a drink of water and go back and sit down. And it usually worked. So for me, that was a big thing in retreat, was surrender. Learning how to work with the moment, not with what I wanted or what I thought should be happening, not with all those expectations, but really working with what is arising in the moment.
Thank you. That's important for those who is going or just thinking about their own retreat. And I'm thinking that I was gonna do 3 weeks retreat. And okay, ready. Am I ready to surrender myself? I don't know. I understand it completely. Okay, but let's go to the health things. You are using diet, and probably you know a lot of health seeds and how health is connected with spiritual way. I found that people who can't find the spiritual way, who don't know the reason why they are alive and what to do with their life, they kind of often get sick because there is no reason for their life. And it's, for me, it's kind of sad. What would you say about this?
I would say yes, it's sad, and I wouldn't put, in my experience, because we have human bodies, we all get sick. I don't know if I know anybody who has never been sick, right? And some people have more sickness, some people have less sickness. And again, it has to do with seeds. It has to do with, in my estimation, in my understanding, your seeds you planted in the past of how you cared for others. I know practitioners who have had cancer and have died of it. I have a friend right now, and she has what they say is an untreatable cancer. And she has a spiritual life, and she understands, she's a student of Geshe Michael. She understands seeds, and she understands the pen, I know that you and Ina have had incredible success with helping people to plant seeds, or at least Ina has, for people to go into remission. She has shared some of these stories with me. And I personally haven't had that experience yet. So it's like, I find it exciting and encouraging how does health and living a spiritual or ethical life, how do they connect with each other? If you are not harming others, then you are planting the seeds for health. And we have to take it down to very, tiny, tiny things. We also have to remember that we are part of others. That if we're harming ourselves, we're also harming others. So, as a spiritual practitioner, as a teacher, it is highly important for me to have good health. One, so I can be a good example. Two, so I have a long life and can pass on the teachings and I can reach my goals. Because reaching that ultimate goal of becoming an enlightened being is being the most effective doctor to help people with their health. So for me, being healthy is the ultimate thing I can do for myself and others. Right? So, being on a diet is not about, for me, not about looking beautiful or skinny. It's about how it's affecting my physical body, how it's affecting my mind. And if I don't take care of myself, then I'm not taking care of others. And they're totally connected and intertwined. Does that answer your question?
That's great answer, even more than my question. So to be able to take care of others, you have to be healthy.
Well, if you're not healthy, can you take care of others? If you're tired and in pain and always, not able to do things and your mind is not clear and, there's a huge list, right? Can you serve others? You can. You can always do it in your mind, but there's like different levels, right? I want to be as present for as long as I possibly can in this human body, which I know, old age, sickness, and death, it's going to happen. I'm getting old. I got plenty of white hair. I will be 72 this year. It's like, how many more years do I have? I don't know. And it's imperative that I use those years well to serve other people. And so I have to take care of mine.
May I ask you a stupid question?
No, you cannot ask me a stupid question. You can ask me a question.
Okay. Why should we take care of others if there are not so much time in our life, if we don't know how long we are going to stay here in this world? Why should we take care of others? Maybe we can live for ourselves and enjoy this life. What is why it's
Well,
the big deal?
Well, if you believe in the seed system, and even if you don't, it works. Karma works, right? Seeds work. If you just take care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to be healthy because you have to take care of others. You have to plant your seeds in caring for others to see yourself having your own healthy body. So take, for instance, the old story of the last maple-covered donut. If you are selfish and you go into the bakery and you see that there's only one last maple-covered donut, which for me, I wouldn't care. I don't like maple-covered donuts, but Geshe Michael talks about it. Or it did in the past. Now it might be something else, and then there's somebody else who is looking at it. If you are selfish and you try to get it first, then what happens is there's like this part of your heart that goes like this, right? It clenches up. It's like me, me, me. I need that for me. And when that happens, that plants a seed for disease, right? Disease, because you're not being easeful. Whereas when you go, oh no, you please, please have it and enjoy it, and you rejoice, then your heart is open. And on a physiological level, your energies then in your body can move so much more freely. They're not tight, always trying to get things just for me. If we include others in me, no, you have it, you enjoy it, and we enjoy that they're enjoying it, then we plant huge seeds for health. Huge seeds for health. And we have to start small. I think mothers have kind of are one step ahead of people who haven't been mothers, because they have another being that physically was part of them. And, they started out as one person, and then they have another being to take care of, and they become two people, right? Or three or four, depending on how many children you have. And I don't think dads get that quite as much, because there isn't that physical connection. We can use that as an example of how we bring people into relating to them as being part of me. It becomes a bigger me, right? And so we just start small. If you don't have a family, just start with one person. I had a person in my life 20 years ago who I couldn't stand her. And we were, part of this same spiritual group together, and I had a really difficult time with her. And I thought, okay, I'm having such a difficult time with this person. I'm going to include her in me. I am going to not push her away, but I am going to plant seeds in her to bring her closer. And it took quite a few years, and we're really good friends now. We're really good friends. This was somebody who was like, oh God, I don't want to be around this person. And to be able to, rather than like, which, it even makes us look ugly, besides being ugly inside, to being open and loving and kind, it totally changes your physical and your mental body. And it is a protection for health. We have to understand where health comes from, right? And health comes from caring for others. If we just care for ourselves, it doesn't work. Does that mean we don't care for ourselves? No. As I said, we must care for ourselves. We are part of all beings, and we must care for ourselves so we can serve all beings. So they're totally linked together. They're not separate in any way.
That's great. And you talked about some new, for me, it was a kind of new perspective of looking at health. So taking care of others to be healthy. That's a great thing. That's interesting.
You know, and there's the 4 steps in DCI, right?
Mhm.
Figure out what you want, and then what's the next step?
Find somebody else who wants the same.
Yeah, so if you want health, what do? You find somebody else who wants health, and you work on your health together. That's why this diet that I'm doing, I think, is so cool, because I'm planting seeds in others. And I know that that will work. And I also have the support that when it gets difficult, I can reach out and say, hey, you know, I wanted to eat that cookie today, but I didn't, because I know you guys are helping me. And I would let you down. I would let myself down. And there's no judgment. They're not going to say, oh, you were bad or something. Like they're going to go, you know, yeah, it's hard. And we're here to support you. No judgment, which is really important, that we don't feel judged by others, because most of us judge ourselves enough.
Maybe even harder than others.
I think so.
Mm. And what else would you recommend people who is looking for health, who came with some health issues and who would like to do it through some maybe spiritual practices or without spiritual practices, but okay, 4 steps is okay, I can do it. Maybe something else we can do to improve our health, daily practices or something you could recommend?
I think, you know, the biggest thing is hands-on with somebody else. Like taking somebody to the doctor, helping them to improve their health, and dedicating that to your health, their health, everybody's health, right? I think, you know, we start with things in our mind, but to put them into action is incredibly important. So like I have a 92-year-old friend. I met her through a local volunteer agency that takes people shopping or to the doctor or the hairdresser or whatever. That was 3.5 years ago. So I met her at, you know, in this, working for this volunteer agency, and we've become very dear friends. So yeah, I take her to the doctors. I help her connect with all of the medical things she has to connect with. I take her shopping. I read her letters for her because she can't read them. She has macular degeneration, problems with her eyes. She's legally blind, but she can read some things. And all of this, I have to understand and do it with the understanding of seeds. So I think action is really important. Action begins, though, with the thought. And I think as a daily practice, the practice of a Tonglen meditation, of giving and taking, or taking and giving, right? visualizing somebody else and taking their suffering away and destroying it in our own hearts serves to open our hearts up, and we can also do it on ourselves. But I wouldn't start with yourself and then, like I've been saying, expand it to others. We know our own suffering. We're not alone in that. Everyone is suffering of something, right? And like just last night, I got something in email that I thought was really interesting about autoimmune diseases. So I sent it to a friend, who I thought might be interested in it. It's just little things like this. As you're taking care of others, thinking about who else could profit by this, then we make the whole world a happier and healthier place. So I would say doing Tonglen, and even when you're just walking around or working, when you see someone who's having a hard time, just in your own mind and heart, send prayers to them and think about, oh, I would like to take their suffering away. Just like going shopping and seeing a mom with a crying child. It's like, may everything be smooth. May the child stop crying. May they stop struggling. Having those wishes in your heart help to make you a healthier and happier person. And again, you have to start small. So you get used to it. So it becomes a habit. So when you go to the grocery store, you thank the person who is checking you out. They're getting paid, yes, but it's their life they're giving to you. So the other practice then would be having gratitude. Gratitude for what you have and gratitude for others. So you can just sit down and think about that, right? Think about the people in your life, the people you met during the day, and really thank them for all they have given you, because we don't live in the world alone. We are interacting with people all the time, and every one of them brings something to our lives and our world.
When I met you, I remember you were, so it was a Diamond Mountain, and we played a game like naming yourself with some qualities you would like to improve in yourself. And it was interesting for me that you said, and your name should be connected, the same letter, started with the same letter with your original name. And your name, I remember, was Grateful Gyelse. So you choose that one. And you were working, seemed for me like you were working on gratitude. And for me, seems like, I don't know why you need to work on it. You're perfect in gratitude.
Oh, there's always work to do.
This is very important thing to develop in ourselves.
Well, most of the time we're looking at what we don't have, right? I need this and I need that. And we forget to just look around us. Oh, I have a roof over my head. I have food. I can walk. I can see. Not everybody has those. Just the simplest things. And especially if we're living with someone, how we take them for granted instead of being grateful that they are in our lives. We see things we don't like about them, and we focus on those rather than the things we like about them and the things we're grateful for. And so we have to fight this habit. This habit that we're unhappy, because we want things to be different. Yeah, I would like things to be different, and this is what I do have. And how can I plant the seeds? I planted the seeds for the things I like. What were they? How did I do it? Let's plant the seeds for the things I want to change. And that's the way it works. But if we always focus on the negative and we're not grateful, then we begin to put ourselves into a box. And then we get disease.
Yeah. We got sick because we are not grateful.
Yeah.
Because we're restricted in small box.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great. One more thing about health. Be grateful for what you have. That's important thing.
And it's, this is not easy work. It's not easy work. Anybody who's been doing it for a while, and even if you haven't done it for a while, there's challenges, things change, and all of a sudden, something that you thought was really solid in your life totally shifts. Like the person you loved, suddenly there's no love there anymore. Or the job you had was given to somebody else, right? How we work with that is how we create our world and our health. And it's hard because our immediate reactions are to, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. I don't want this change. Right? And, I'm not saying it's easy. It's work. And it is the most rewarding work. It is the most rewarding. You will find people who are doing this work, whether doesn't matter whether they're Buddhists or any spiritual practice that's named, you will become a brighter, happier person. And when you become a brighter, happier person, your health gets better, your brightness and happiness goes out into the world, and it makes other people brighter and happier, and it creates a much healthier world for all of us to live in. When you're angry, when you want something that somebody else has, you see what it happens. Even in our little families. But when it gets bigger, we see it in wars. We see it in gangs running countries. We see it, all over. So really the one war that is a holy war is the battle inside ourselves to fight against our own negative seeds, to fight against our wrong ways of looking at the world. It's an inner battle. And it's an incredibly, what's the word I want? It's a very fulfilling battle to fight your own negative emotions, right? And when you do, you come out on the other side a much happier person and a much healthier person. There is a connection between the brain and the body. right? And when you have an unhappy mind, you are definitely more susceptible to becoming sick. And so the happier we are, the more we understand about seeds and planting them in others, the more we can influence our health. Now, as I said, I haven't seen anybody in my life be able to stop all of their sickness. I haven't seen anybody who has been able to stop their death. But death is just shedding this impure body, right? We were born with bodies that are prone to falling apart. If you were born, that's all death is, right? It's getting rid of this body that doesn't really work, right? It's got its aches and pains, it gets sick, you can't see, you gotta get glasses, your teeth get cavities, whatever it is. Right? And yes, we need to keep it healthy. Why? So that we can serve others. Because that's the ultimate thing that will keep us healthy. That's why the 4 steps are so important. That's why Tonglen is important. That's why gratitude is important. And it is all taking care of yourself, but not at the expense of others.
If we already touched this topic, I don't think we can go around it anyway. There are so many wars around us in this world now, and seems like it's connected for me. It seems like it's connected with our negative emotions, because I lived in Russia. Russia started war. I moved from Russia. I didn't want to be a part of that, and I moved to Israel, and there is a war in Israel now. So nothing changed, actually. So something changed, but it seems like I'm scared of moving to another country, because I can bring war with me until I clean up the seeds.
Yeah. And when will you know when the seeds clean up?
Probably when I see no wars around me.
That's what I would think. And we're all seeing war around the world. And we have to look at the wars we're creating in our own lives, right? The arguments we're having, and my point of view is the right point of view, and how we exclude other people. And it's our collective seeds as the humans on this planet to be seeing wars. And it's not just our negative seeds, it's our misunderstanding of seeds and our misunderstanding of how things are created. And that goes much deeper. And until if we truly understand the seed system, that we are creating our world, then it's our seeds that we need to change. Just because you moved from Russia to Israel, you're one of thousands of beings, right? And there's a collective seed for this to happen. And I would say in the world right now, it's on the brink of a bigger war happening in the Middle East. And we have to work really hard in ourselves to stop our own little wars that we have with people in our lives. So you have to look at that and question it, right? I don't live in a country right now who is at war right now, right? I've never lived in a country that was at war. I have that karma. I have that seed. Seeds wear out. It could change today, for that matter. And so we have to also continue to plant the seeds of kindness, of caring for others, and accepting others, and not fighting over, like little children, who gets to play with the toy, right? It starts with us, yes. And seeds grow. But that doesn't mean to beat yourself up and blame yourself for the wars that are going on. Know that you have the power to change it. It may not, and it probably won't change overnight. At one point, it will change overnight, but it may not be today. It may not be in 5 years. We don't know when our seeds will ripen. But we need to keep planting them. If we don't water the garden dies, right? So we need to keep planting those seeds and watering them. Do your coffee meditation. Do your rejoicing. Be grateful. And as much as you can throughout the day, think of others, take care of others. What can you do for them? Oh, I'm going into town. Can I get your mail for you? That's one of mine. You're just little things. It only takes a few minutes. And it creates a better world and a healthier world. And if there's a healthier world, then we are healthier. And it means taking care of animals and plants. It means taking care of our whole ecosystem.
Thank you very much for these precious advices. Because we think, okay, it's going on there, I cannot do anything. But this point of view is bringing us opportunity to change something, to do something good. We have power to change our reality. And I can see it in my life.
Yeah, so I would say, those of you who are new to this, find someone who has been practicing the seed system for a while and ask them to help you and see if it works. You need to be your own scientist. Don't just accept what I'm saying or what Kadrin is saying. You need to be your own scientist. I could say, this stuff works, right? Because I've tried it. I'm still here because it works. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be here 30 years later. I would be looking for something else, right? I would be looking for something else. So it works. And so if you're new to this practice, reach out to others who have been working with it and ask them. And watch them, see if they change, see if they're less angry than when you first knew them, right? See if they're happier than when you first knew them. See if they are caring for others than when you first knew them. It doesn't take that long to watch. Maybe, a couple of weeks, something like that. You have to be a scientist yourself.
Yeah, thank you. But for 30 years, almost 30 years, you are here. And I know you for, I don't know, 10 years? Less than 10 years. Since 2016, so 8 years. And I know that you have been living at Diamond Mountain after your 3-year retreat. Let's go to your life. It's kind of your spiritual path meeting, talk. And I would like to open you to others, your life, your stories to others. And maybe you have some personal stories about regarding your life and your spiritual path you would like to share with us. And you spend a lot of time at Diamond Mountain. How long? 11 years, yeah? Something.
Well, there were 2 Diamond Mountains originally. Well, there was 1 Diamond Mountain originally. What got to be known as Diamond Mountain West, where Geshe Michael and 5 other people did retreat. And it was about maybe 100 kilometers west of where Diamond Mountain is now. So that was the first Diamond Mountain. So all total, I was at Diamond Mountain West, and then what we call Diamond Mountain East, because there was a West, and then eventually became Diamond Mountain that all of you know, for about 20 years. I first started at Diamond Mountain West, serving Geshe Michael and the other retreaters, along with Venerable Jigme and Venerable Chuki, and Earl showed up at one point and came and served there, and many other people. That's where I met Venerable Cutting. She came during that time. She lived nearby and she heard about us, so she came. And we supported their 3-year retreat. So that was the beginning. And I was in the middle of a separation and a divorce. And it was wonderful to have somewhere to go to serve, rather than stay in my old home, which I was like, no, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in this community at this time. And for me, it was a refuge. It was a shelter. And I got to serve my teacher. So that's where my service to Diamond Mountain started. And then we moved to the east, and we started building a place to teach many, many different classes. That we taught the ACI classes, we taught yoga, we taught the Heart Sutra, the Diamond Cutter Sutra, we taught Chinese medicine, and the Diamond Way teachings were all happening there. 150 people would show up on the weekends. And at first, we didn't have anything on the land. And the director was building his house, and we would have our classes in his house before we had the temple, which is now Venerable Cutting's house. We had our classes in there. There weren't 150 people at that time. It grew. So it was a very, very exciting time. And to be building something that was focused on creating a place to hold the teachings, right? And like recreating the big schools of ancient India or in China and Japan and Tibet, recreating that. That was the dream with Diamond Mountain. And it was incredibly exciting to be involved in that. And the heart connections, you talk about a spiritual practice, a spiritual community, and the heart connections that you have with people were incredibly uplifting, right? We were a family. We were all doing something together. We all had this project and we were all excited about it. And it was it's one of the best times of my life, I think. It really was. The building of Diamond Mountain and all of those classes that we had and watching it grow, and people would come, and we built the temple, right, which is there now, brick by ourselves. So if you're ever there, you can have some gratitude for all of those people who built those walls and the roof around you. And it was just, it was just a very exciting and fruitful time and very spiritually uplifting. And that points to how strong community can be and how strongly it can affect you. Because when you have community, just like I was saying with the diet, you have support. You're not in it alone, right? And that's why Zoom is so wonderful at this point. We can connect with each other across the world and support each other, right? And it's a spiritual community. And you can come and, you can see somebody here and you can say, meet with them. It's like, oh, I'm having a really difficult time with this. Can you help me? Right? Or, hey, let's do this together. We were having fun, doing fun things, doing spiritual things, right? And that's what we're doing here. And that's something to really rejoice in as well. So Diamond Mountain grew. It grew from one house that the director built to a temple, and then the Stumps built a house there, and they moved there, Sarani and Sumati. A lot of us lived down in town, in the town of Bowie. We rented houses. A couple of people bought houses, and we lived in town and would commute up to Diamond Mountain. There was a trailer, not a trailer, but a prefabricated house, right? A modular home, as we call it here, on the land, which was called the caretaker's house, and also an 100-year-old plus building made of adobe bricks, which was the main home on the property when we bought it. That also became rooms for Geshe Michael to stay in, and we would have classes sometimes in there or on the lawn outside of it. And the caretaker's house became the home where Venerable Jigme lived, and Venerable Chuki, who were the two nuns, and they were the caretakers. They were the caretakers from the other retreat. So we did have those places, but everybody else who came either slept on somebody's couch or floor or stayed in tents. And as I said, we had about 150 people for the weekend teachings, which is when the Diamond Way teachings would happen. There were other classes during the week, and it was just, I guess when you have something that fun and exciting, it really feeds your spiritual practice, right? That's not to say that there weren't difficult times, right? It wasn't all peaches and roses. There were difficult times. People had to deal with things, because it's life and we're human. Or Maybe we're not human, I don't know. Anyway, life comes in and we all have our way to relate to things and to each other. And that also, it's that work again that makes it worth it. I keep coming back to that. That's what a spiritual practice is, right? And a spiritual practice is about working with our likes and our dislikes, which we have. They're inborn, right? And by following an ethical life, by following whatever, guidelines you have, helps us to learn and examine our likes and our dislikes. It helps to tame our minds. And that is what a spiritual practice is about. It's about taming our minds. So I don't know, what more there is to say. I loved serving at Diamond Mountain. I'm not a city person. I loved the quiet and being out in the middle of nowhere. And then at some point, I felt it was time to go back out into the world with all of that I had done, with, serving the first 3-year retreat, going into my own 3-year retreat, teaching at Diamond Mountain, supporting Diamond Mountain when I got out of retreat, being one of the staff there. I then trained as a spiritual, what's the word I want to use? A spiritual partner, kind of what a chaplain is in Christianity. And it was like, okay, my world is too small at Diamond Mountain. People come 3 times a year, maybe, and there's a few here and there, but I need to go out into the world and serve the world in a bigger way than I could at Diamond Mountain. So I left Diamond Mountain almost exactly 4 years ago today. It was 4 years ago in February, like February 6th or 12th or something like that. So I don't see a separation between my spiritual practice and my life. They're one. My life is my spiritual practice. So I don't know quite what you were thinking about, or
Thank
when
you.
you asked me to talk about my spiritual practice at Diamond Mountain. It's all about serve, 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 right? Just serve. And serving doesn't mean helping. Serving means putting yourself in the other person's shoes and seeing what they would like, not what you think they would like. Of course, you are thinking what they would like, but it's very different than helping. Helping is you have something that they don't have, right? And you're going to help them with it. But serving is, how can I support you? What can I do that will make your life better? How can I serve you? So cook that. What is the difference between serving and helping? Helping kind of says, I know something that you don't know. Serving says, you know everything, you're whole. How can I serve you? It's an art. Like if you go into a hotel, they might say, how can I help you? But they're looking at How can I serve you? Oh, she's struggling with her suitcase. They don't even ask. They just go and do something. They serve you. Really good people in hospitality know how to serve, not how to help. And it's an art. And like everything else, it's a practice. And you practice to perfect it, right? You practice to perfect. And so that comes right back around to caring for others, which improves our own health and the health of our world. They're not separate.
Serving is an art. Okay, that's a
When Diamond Mountain first began, Geshe Michael said, you come here to serve and learn. You don't come here to learn to serve. So the serving comes first. And that really, when I met him, has been my focus. I served the first 3-year retreat. I served building Diamond Mountain. I, went into 3-year retreat to serve other people. Some people will say, isn't it selfish to do that? Even your own mind might say, isn't it selfish to do that? To leave the world for 3 years, to leave your children and your parents, and it's the highest thing you can do. But how to explain that to them is a whole nother story. And then when I got out, it was like, okay, how can I serve? And so I served at Diamond Mountain, and my life is about service. I'm still serving. And that's why I'm here today with you.
Thank you so much for all your serving. Thank you. We have a question from Natasha. Would you like to go through a question?
Sure. There was another one I saw at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was from Natasha.
Yeah, Natasha is asking, what is your favorite thing to rejoice in?
Do I have to have a favorite?
Yeah.
To me, that, I don't know. Being alive, I don't have one, okay? Being alive, having the upbringing I had, having the parents I had, and everything that has happened in my life that led me to meet Geshe Michael. And everything that has happened since I've been a student of his. So there's not just one thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
People asked me to say thank you for your teachings, because you teach a lot now. And we have some classes with you, just started a course, and people just said, oh, it's so beautiful. Please say thank you to Gyelse. She's amazing. And I think it's some kind of seeds to say just kind of normal things, but people see it as something beautiful. And you have a wonderful skill to touch people's hearts. And it's something not many people have. You can touch.
I would just, it's seeds and it's my mama, you know?
How do you do it?
Anything good has to be my past seeds and having an incredible teacher. Yeah.
And maybe being dedicated to your teacher. And maybe. Thank you very much, dear Gyelse, for these beautiful teachings. And seems like every your words is holy and you touch people's hearts. And probably can learn how to do it from you.
So before we end, let's take a moment, right? Think about yourself and one other person. And let's dedicate it. All of what we've talked about here. To your health. To the other person's health. To the health of our planet. To the health of all beings in every universe. Just send that energy out from your heart. And imagine your body being strong and healthy. Your mind being strong and healthy, which of course brings happiness out to every being. Let's just stay there for a moment. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you become wise. Thank you.
This is so beautiful. Now you can see why I invited her, you see, guys? That's amazing. How can I hide it and not share it? It's impossible. Thank you very much, all the translators, all the tech people
Yes.
who support us, who made it possible. And of course, thank you so much, precious Gyelse, who can touch everybody's hearts just with your slight words.
Lovely to see you all of you here. That didn't come out right. And I would love to see you in person somewhere, someday. It would be lovely to meet you. And may you be well. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for letting me share these things. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. And we are going to continue to do this kind of introduction of precious people, nuns teachers once a month to let you just look with a little bit one eye to the wonderful lives, wonderful stories, and spiritual path of these holy beings. Thank you, Gyelse.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, guys. We will
It's so
post-
nice. I see some people have their cameras on, and it's so nice to see familiar faces.
Yeah, it would be great if you turn your camera on. Valeria, could you please delete this and make just unpin us and put everybody on the screen? And could you?
Oh, I see lots of friends here.
Yeah, could you turn on your camera on, please?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Ludmila. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Mila. Gina. Piling. Natasha. Lovely to see you. Thank you for turning your cameras on. Yeah. And hopefully I will see you soon. Come to Diamond Mountain. Hi, Maria. All righty. I will see you somewhere, sometime. Have a good rest of your week, and let's spread health and happiness. Hi, Roxana.
Thank you, and come to Diamond
Amanda.
Mountain for a
And
lovely
Berta.
retreat. It's going to be a lovely retreat in April 11/24, I guess. You can come and meet Venerable Gyelse in person. Use this great chance.
Okay, my dears. See you
Thank you,
next time.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gyelse.
Bye-bye.
Valera, your turn.